Hi all, and welcome to lesson 26, Square Control, the Critical Factor. In lesson 25, we introduced some fundamental chess knowledge and saw how both the quantity of pieces, material, and the quality of the pieces, activity, determine how much square control either side has. One of the conclusions was, the larger your square control, the greater the chance that you can break the balance in your favor. Now in this lesson, I want to add another element to that fundamental chess knowledge, namely that of the critical factor. Even though it is in general a good idea to try and control as much squares as possible on your opponent's half of the board, I mean, how else are you ever going to defeat his army? It is not enough to do just that. Normally, you also have to decide if you want to aim left, right, or center. In other words, if you want to pressure your opponent's queen side, king side, or center. In the game I'm about to show you, my opponent, playing black, has a better opening and subsequently aims his forces at my side of the board, the queen side to be precise. I'm trying to counterbalance that attack with pressure on his king side. Just as it seems that black can get a tangible advantage on the queen side, I set up a psychological trap for which he falls. I get to attack him on the king side. For reasons discussed in lesson 25, I can sacrifice a knight because that sacrifice increases my square control on my opponent's king side by virtue of enhanced activity. Not quantity, obviously, because I invest a piece worth 3 points. His pieces, however, are shooting into thin air for the rest of the game and contribute nothing with regards to the critical factor. Okay, so let's start with the game. I play my favorite one e4 and my opponent opts for the so-called open game. We continue knight f3, which attacks the pawn on e5 and my opponent defends, and now I play the classical Ruy Lopez. So the game continues along the lines of main theory for a few moves, knight f6, castles, b5, a slight alteration of the move order, bishop b3, now bishop e7, the move that is characteristic of the closed Ruy Lopez, rook e1, d6, c3 and castles. Now h3 is the main move in this position, and this is the moment where black can give his own special kind of flavor to the game. From this position, I think 5 or 6 moves have been played on numerous occasions. One of them is, for instance, the move h6, something that Smyslov liked to play. Also known as bishop e6. Another option is here to go bishop b7, which leads to the so-called Karpov or Zaitsev variation. And quite popular of late is also the Breyer retreat, which aims to reroute the knight to d7 and reinforce the center on e5, not blocking the bishop that can later appear on b7 and attack the pawn on e4. But instead of all those options, my opponent plays the really old classical mainline knight a5, which is called the Chigorin defense. Now with this move, he attacks my nicely situated bishop on b3, and I do not want to lose that for his knight, so I'm forced to retreat it. So I play bishop c2. And by playing knight a5, obviously black freed up his c-pawn and he can now put it on c5, influencing the d4 square yet another time. Okay, I continue d4, all standard theory, and I'm pressuring the pawn on e5 once again, which is, well, the basic idea of the Ruy Lopez. You want to put pressure on that central pawn on e5. Hopefully you can somehow induce black in giving up the center, so exchanging, and then that would mean that he loses his foothold on e5.